We have been here since 1974, and no one could give a shit. Actually, what is worse, Pocono or Phoenix? Because they're both crap, but the restarts they're banging. I can't lie, they bang.
Hey there, folks. Thank you so much again for joining us here for another episode of NASCAR Cup Dates. This weekend we found ourselves at Pocono, the Tricky Triangle. Very tricky indeed. This is one of the most unique and interesting tracks on the circuit. Not my personal favorite, but what this track brings to the table, I do love. The individuality of this track is staggering. No turn is like the other. You may make adjustments to help yourselves in turn 1, but with how flat turn 3 is, you might be taking something away. You are fighting that car every second of this race. Speaking of fighting, there was no shortage of that this weekend. This race was littered with controversy, and without further ado, let's get to it.
In qualifying, Chase Elliott spun and now sits in the back whilst trying to make up his playoff deficit. Corey LaJoie finishing 12th. Cole Custer started above both Noah Gragson and Ryan Preece. And to top off all this bullshit, Austin Cindric qualified top 10. There's no predicting the guy. There's no saying where he'll go. And also, in the week, talking about unpredictable, Justin Haley to Rick Ware Racing, saying he's going to be the third RFK. No, he's not. His career's over. He's just going to stay in the back all week. That's all that is. Nothing special about that. You've just finished yourself off. Green flag and JJ Yeley instantly brings out a caution after spinning off of turn 2. Larson showed that he had the biggest bollocks on the grid as he took it 3 wide through turn 2 for second. And he started to run down Logano, who absolutely stole the lead, by the way. Where the fuck's he come from? I've got to credit him, he's a good driver. Now, this is a track where you don't watch for racing, you watch for strategy. You can sacrifice a stage to win the race because the track is so big. So, who pits first? If you can't win a stage, then come in, fill up, make your next stop a little quicker, and you set yourself up for the final stage. If you Chase Elliott, you should be doing that. If you're everyone else that sees Chase Elliott needs to do that, you're going to do that. And that is what everyone did. I think that everybody came into the pits. He didn't get anywhere near as big an advantage as we thought he would. But heading into stage 2, he had a place in the top 10, top 11. Suarez and Logano wreck. Logano just ping pong off everybody. Suarez just smacks the wall. The playoff bubble is tight. 4 drivers within 20 points. And the 78, whoever's in there this week, decided to fuck with Austin Dillon and sent him spinning to the outside. So now we get to go again. Yippee. But Larson goes around. So we go again. Chase Elliott now in the top 5. William Byron trying to claw back that regular season championship. In this time, Joey Logano failed to meet minimum speed, the twat. So he was out for the race. For the rest of the stage, it was green flag. So this is where the strategy comes in. All very interesting, I'm sure. But where is Austin Cindric? He started 8th, and he is now 13th. It's not New Hampshire bad, but he's not having all that great of a day. Not having all that great of a season. Sitting through this green flag scene made me realise why Pocono was reduced to 1 race a year. It's just nothing happens. It's so boring. Christopher Bell spun, which not only gave us a caution, it gave Kyle Larson a stage win and tied Dillon 9 points. Who the fuck let him up here? What bullshit has he pulled to be allowed in the top 10? This Christopher Bell taking him out of races was actually predicted a year ago by Dan when we were making picks. Always said that it was his worst enemy, that he takes himself out of races, and fuck me, it's happening again. What's happening to him? He was doing so well.
So with the race as littered with controversy as this was this weekend, something that may have flown under the radar to a lot of the NASCAR faithful is a very small spin by the 20 car of Christopher Bell. where he seemed to be getting a bit loose coming out of a corner, spun sideways, spun out on the track, and all's well that ends well. However, there is a major problem with that. Christopher Bell, I love this kid to death. I think he's a tremendous talent. He is a winner, and he will win again. But this man is his own worst enemy on the racetrack. He starts to just get a little bit ahead of himself, overdrives the race car. Next thing you know, he spins himself out. I have been saying it since last season, and I don't want to keep saying it anymore. Christopher Bell is his own worst enemy on the racetrack. He just needs to get some shit together and figure himself out. Otherwise, he is going to have a very hard time when push comes to shove in the playoffs to keep his own car straight.
Going into turn one. Nope, this is going to be a boring one. Again, never mind. Fuck, man. Turn one's a killer. Oh, he throws helmet. But to who? Chris Kamara.
I don't know, Jeff, has it?
Thank you, Chris. Cars come in. Ty Gibbs is stout and staying up there with the regular season contenders. Would be mental if he won a race today. Absolutely mad. But through the rest of the final stage, it was green flag. And in the end, the net leader was going to be Kyle Larson. Through the spin, through the clawing back his race. Followed closely by Denny Hamlin, who had not been a factor. However, he had 6.5 wins at Pocono. He knows what to do. Kyle not having any. Martin Truex was right behind them.
I'm not giving you a foot massage either.
And by the point we had a 3-way battle for the win, Chase Briscoe fucking lost it.
Exactly high.
Oh, that race could have been over in 15 minutes and I could have been in bed. To be fair, they never actually found out what happened between the two of them. Because this couldn't have been like a friend. Oh, okay, sorry. So now we have to wait even longer. And I just want this day to end. But we do get a pretty desperate race with 14 to go. So many cars pitted. Some stayed out. But this is where the nerves settle in. But with so little to go, would it be worth it? Mate, at this point, who knows? Who knows? Who cares? Alex Bowman spun in turn 3 and said Denny wrecked him. They didn't touch. Like, this has just gone on for weeks now. And I don't care. I really don't. Just want this race to be over. Please. Now he walls Larson. Can't wait for the podcast this week. But that's not a caution. Haley crashes into Justin Haley. That's definitely a caution. And it's just more time added on. Larson comes up to fight Hamlin. I am slightly erect. Hamlin wins in Pocono. The wait was not worth it. And I am just done.
Now it's time for Dan's Strong Opinion.
And now we move on to my personal favorite segment of the show, Dan's Strong Opinions. So, what strong opinions do I have for you this weekend? Well, one thing I just personally adore in auto racing is individuality of speedways. More so, the asymmetrical design when it comes to a racetrack. That being, no section of the racetrack is similar to the next or last. You look at a Dover, a Charlotte, a Las Vegas, sure, each corner has its own personality to it. But at a glance, it almost looks like a mirror image of one side to the next. But you take something like Pocono or Darlington, where each turn, each portion of the track is a stark difference from the last, that creates a very exciting form of racing from a fan's perspective, and it makes it much more difficult on the driver to actually start, managing their car with what it's doing in different segments of that track. Going forward, if NASCAR says, look, we are going to effort and build new motor speedways, I think they need to look at Pocono for inspiration. Not to copy and paste the design or anything like that, far, far from it, but to understand that an asymmetrical design for a racetrack offers up a very exciting form of motorsports. These are my opinions. I'm sticking to them.
Right, so we're moving on to picks. And so you will, still won. I won with Denny Hamlin. So I'm going to bring the score back up to even. And I am going to pick Kevin Harvick for Richmond.
And now on to our picks for the weekend. So who do I think is going to be the one to watch and get it done? Well, I'm not going to say he's going to get it done, but I think he's going to be up there when it counts the most. Ty Gibbs. Now look, I have strong opinions of this kid, and I plan on airing some of those grievances out in the future. However, what I cannot dispute is that he's looked good. He's looked solid and very, very consistent. Richmond has always been a very Toyota-heavy, dominant racetrack. And with the just overall level of performance that Ty Gibbs has shown this year, I believe a lot of last year's time inside of Kurt Busch's car offered up a massive, massive dose of reality to what this new car is. And he got in early, got it done quick, and he understands what this new car is. I want to say Ty Gibbs is somebody you are going to want to watch out for at Richmond. And let's see what we got from this kid. And with that, that wraps up another fantastic week of NASCAR Cup dates. This weekend in Pocono was an absolute joyride. And Richmond, I always adore watching this race. I prefer the night race always and forever. But Richmond, no matter which way you spin it, is a fun ride from a fan's perspective. If you're watching at home, which I'm sure a lot of you are, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. You know the whole jazz by now. It really, really helps the channel. Give me a follow at CupDatesDan on Twitter. Always love hearing from you folks and seeing what all of you have to say. Trust me, I saw and heard a lot of what you guys had to say about the Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson incident this week, but let's not dredge that up until something else happens again, which I'm sure is not too far away. Thank you guys, as always. Let me know how wrong I am, how right he is. And Elliot, thank you so much for having me. Always great to be here with you guys, and you all have a good night.
Cheers.